Morning, what it's like getting parked at your local hospital, whether you can find a space, and then how much you get charged for the privilege. The reason we're talking about it is that there's a 22% rise at the James Cook in Middlesbrough from this morning. The biggest increase comes in the 4 to 24-hour charge, which is going up from £5.70 to £7. That is an increase of 22%. I've spoken to a number of people since 9 o'clock this morning then who believe it's time to make hospital parking free of charge. And they suggest the only way you can do that is by putting up income tax. Would you be in favour of that? And then everybody pays and the parking could be free. The only party that I'm aware of that has been suggesting the scrapping of hospital parking charges, Ukip, and we've got Jonathan Arnott, the Ukip MEP for the North East, on the line to us now. Jonathan, good morning to you.
Good morning, Mike.
Is this a popular idea, but it can't be afforded?
We believe it can be afforded. It's something that we've obviously put in our manifestos for the last two general elections. We've made sure that everything has been fully costed, and therefore, you know, we've made sure that it's budgeted for and accounted for.
Right. So how would you pay for it then?
Well, it's all budgeted for and accounted for. So, you know, in your manifesto, you say all the areas where you're going to save money, and you say all the areas where you're going to spend money, and you make sure that it all adds up. In terms of the NHS, there are certainly areas where you can save money. I mean, you've got at the moment you've got almost £2 billion a year that goes in health tourism. There are certainly places where you can make administrative savings, but you know, it's not just about that. I mean, the amount of money that it would cost to scrap hospital car parking charges is relatively low. You're only talking about 5-10% of the amount that I've just mentioned that you can save. It is a very, very small amount of money when it's all.
How much would it cost?
It's roughly 200 to 250 million pounds.
Right.
Which, you know, and you're asking questions about income tax, but of course, you know, putting a penny on income tax is about £4 billion. So you're talking about something, you know, from the way that you've been describing it, you're talking about something like 0.05 pence on income tax. I mean, not that it would be done in that way, not that that's what you'd need to do to raise the money, but the amounts that we're talking about, as far as the whole government spend is concerned, are absolutely tiny.
Sadly, that the policy didn't turn out to be that popular, did it, for your party?
Well, I think that policy was very popular. I've yet to meet very many people who disagree with that one. I think we have had problems at the general election where perhaps we focused on the wrong things. But, you know, that's something that we've gone over. We've had a leadership election. We've got a new leader in place now who is taking the party forward. So, you know, I'm going to be the first to admit that we had a bad performance at the general election in 2017, and now we've got to make sure that where we've got the wrong policies, we put them right. But where we've got the right policies, we make sure that we're talking about them. Anyway,
that is a conversation for another day, Jonathan. But it doesn't look like any other party is even considering scrapping hospital charges. I think Labour have possibly, you know, looked at it in the past, but it's not policy now, is it?
No, it's not. And to be quite honest, what I think happens here, and what UKIP should be doing, is pointing out these situations where things are going wrong for people. You know, I mean, if you're somebody who suddenly has to visit a sick relative who's seriously ill, and you find that every day for a month you've got to pay that, you know, that actually puts some people in very difficult financial situations. So I think what UKIP should be doing is actually looking at these injustices within the system and trying to fix them. And in this area, that's an area where UKIP is already doing that and doing that very well. This is what politics should be about. It should be about finding areas where there are injustice and fixing them. And, you know, if we're doing that in this area, then all well and good. Now what we need to do as a party is start to do that across the whole spectrum of policy issues.
All right, there's so many other things I'd like to talk to you about, Jonathan, but not on this occasion. Thank you very much indeed for that.
Of course. OK, thank you.
Jonathan Arnott, UKIP MEP for the North East. We're talking about hospital parking charges this